Hello and namaste to all of you. Welcome to the International Travel and Tourism Conference, Reinventing the India Experience Towards a New Normal. I am Rashali Potnas Damle, co founder of the Deep Project, and on behalf of all the organizers of this conference, Govardhan Eco Village, Bhakti Vedanta Research Center, Tiger Trails, Neela Ji, who is a retired regional director, Western and Central India, India Tourism, and the Deep Project, I welcome you to this platform. The conference is to be held over 3 days, 29th, 30th, and 31st of October, today being the second day of the conference. We touched upon the phases of the corona crisis and the new normal yesterday, and the theme for today's session is positives and the way ahead. We have Reema Lokesh ji to sum up the sessions for us yesterday. Reema, in her decades of work experience, has donned many hats as a career journalist, a clarity coach, teacher, classical dancer, panelist, moderator, and an eternal optimist. Reema was the editor for the hospitality and travel vertical for the Indian Express Group, after which she has moved on to launch her own venture remarkable.com in March 2020, a content and connect media platform with the aim to share stories of what she calls sense and not sensation, stories that are noteworthy and not just newsworthy. She has traveled far and wide, both nationally and internationally, visiting 33 countries, coming back enriched, learning, unlearning, and relearning from these experiences. Reema is an adventure enthusiast. So, Reema will be with us today. She will moderate the next two sessions. The first one with Gauranga Das ji, the director, Govardhan Eco Village, and the second one by Zeelam Chobal, director, Kesri Tours. So I request Reema ji to please take over, but before that, there is a short video that she would like to share with us. Here's the video.
Hello, my dear friends across the world. In a hustle and bustle of life, it was a small virus that made a silent but big entry into our lives and shook it up forever. When we thought we were victorious, it showed us how vulnerable we are. When we thought we were conquerors of both time and space, it showed us how confused we are. When we thought we had discovered the world of artificial intelligence, it showed us what truly matters is emotional intelligence. I wonder what this life-changing phenomenon means to you, but for me, it shows me the mirror once again that brought in remarkable reflections. It showed me once again that all that matters in life is looking back at every moment and memory with deep gratitude and gratefulness. The world is in a fragile state, and so are most of our relationships. Our freedom to meet, greet, walk, and talk has been replaced by fear of the unknown, and a future that's unclear. Therefore, please take your time to smile a bit more, to forgive a bit more, to thank someone a bit more, to stretch your hand a bit more, to give rather than take, to say, I value your presence a bit more, to cherish simple life pleasures a bit more, to encourage someone a bit more. Take your time to value your taken for granted freedom a bit more. Because by the end of the day, we are all a fragment in this fragmented world.
Good evening, everyone. I say good evening because I mean that this evening is truly good. We had a fabulous 3 hours yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, whoever is watching us today. Really fruitful, meaningful 3 hours. 3 hours which kick-started with the beautiful words of Roshali, followed by Mrs. Leela, who actually put the tempo through for what this meaningful 3 days conference is all about. This conference is forward-looking. This conference is all about valuing yourself first before you value also the environment. Because if you are not at peace within, how can you be reflecting peace outside. So it's all about reinventing the wheel. It's all about inner understandings of your own relationships with yourself, your environment, and your people. On this positive note, I would like to say this 3 hours, all of you who are watching, stay connected because the value we got from yesterday's 3 hours, today's 3 hours, and tomorrow's 3 hours can be life changing somewhere in our entire journey. This story is about sustainable and responsible tourism. This story is about the future of what we all hold for our children. We've had enough of talks. As I said yesterday, we've had enough of discussions after conferences. Now is the time for action before we lead to any more inaction. It is the fact that responsible and sustainable tourism is not an option anymore, that those days are gone. It's a serious obligation which all of us hold on our shoulders. It's time to be responsible, respectful, and resilient. Responsible to ourselves and the environment. Respectful again to ourselves and our human beings around us and humanity around us. And resilient because we all need to be strong. Moving away from paranoia and fear. We all need to be careful, safe, but not get paranoia in our system because it won't work. I think we need to be cautious and careful, but we shouldn't let COVID rule our lives very, very clearly. I think it's important to love your loved ones. For that, you need to be responsible. Just three things, as the panelists also spoke yesterday: masks, social distancing, and hygiene and sanitation, basic formula. The positive aspect of our tourism industry is that travel can never die. We as human beings are nomads, are travelers, we are social beings. We need to connect, we need to just be there for each other. So, yes, there is a little slump. 100% things are not very positive and good. But with all this paranoia and in all this paranoia and tension, let's see positivity. I quickly feel that tourism for the future will depend on the H factor. H is health and hygiene, H is heritage and history, and H is harmony and happiness. This beautiful story of happiness was amazingly narrated last evening by Gaurang Dasji. Gaurang Dasji is a pioneer, a visionary, a force to be reckoned with literally, because there are many people who walk the talk on eco. Eco has become such a fashionable name. Environment is such a fashionable name. But he didn't think fashion. He went to the purpose. And with his force and with his team, he decided to build a village called the famously known as GEV, but the Govardhan Eco Village. What I would like to say here is, this is just not a village or a resort. In my eyes, whatever the respected Mr. Mafatlal said yesterday, it looks more of a university. A university and a temple of learning for our children, for our future, lots to do for senior citizens, for people like us who are the sandwich generation. Everybody has something that this village probably has to offer. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember the 6 H's which I said. If not health and hygiene, I don't think personally I'll be comfortable ever to travel anywhere if I don't see a safe place for my children to be happy. As I said yesterday, I want a beautiful bed, not a beautiful linen. I want a bed with that linen which is clean, where I can be confident that my children are going to be safe and happy there. That's the logic. Health and hygiene, there is no compromise there. We move on to heritage and history. What a wealth we have. Gaurang Dasji beautifully said yesterday, remember India's soft power. He spoke about values, he spoke about ethics, he spoke about culture, he spoke about music, art, history, heritage. We have it all, guys. We have it all. So heritage and history is the journey that we all need to take forward. And harmony and happiness. By the end of the day, he spoke about the soul-searching experience. My video, which I made in April of 2020, which you all just saw, is that connect with your soul. So if we can all get back and do our basics, it might just work well for us. For me personally, I love a vacation where I would actually want to walk on the beach, probably barefoot in wilderness, feeling the rocks and the pebbles, than have a rock in my hand, which which is a diamond maybe, which I don't need it anymore, honestly. That is not the inertia that I will, and that's not the energy that I will get literally. I will get energy from nature. And this nature can be easily found at the Govardhan Eco Village. The concept of luxury has changed, ladies and gentlemen. Luxury is not anymore which is glamour, which is flamboyance. No, luxury is what you feel within, and which is something that you look for within. I move on to my conversation because I'm done with my 5 minutes and I really want to respect time. I bring in a very, very prominent personality, Gaurang Dasji. Gaurang Dasji is the director of Govardhan Eco Village, its strategy and communications. He, along with his team, has implemented sustainable green initiatives in the Govardhan Eco Village in waste management, water conservation, green buildings, alternative energies, and organic farming. As a social reformer, he's facilitating transformation in the lives of people in 78 tribal villages around GEV through various social and economic interventions. Under his guidance, GEV won more than 32 awards in the last 6 years, including the United Nations Award for Excellence and Innovation in Sustainable Tourism. GEB is accredited by the United Nations Environment Assembly, United Nations Economic and Social Council, and United Nations Compact to Climate Desertification. During the recent COVID pandemic, he, along with his team at Govardhan Eco Village, cooked over 1,09,000 meals to feed migrant laborers and the tribal villagers. He's the trustee of the Bhakti Vedanta Research Center. He's an inspirational speaker and is involved in the leadership and organizational development of ISKCON organization in various roles, like the trustee of ISKCON Leadership College and the global duty officer of ISKCON. He's a BTech from the IIT Bombay. Gaurang Dasji, it's my honor to share this platform with you because you have walked the talk. While we go on and lead you in a conversation, I just want to say this one thing. Can you tell my audience what you said yesterday and a little more on India's soft power and the power which GEV has to offer to the rest of the world? Randaji, the platform is yours.
Thank you so much, Rimaji, for your kind words. And I'm really honored to be here with all of you, sharing the message of sustainability, sharing the message of Krishna's Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Karmanye vadhikarasti, ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phala heturbhu, mati sangotsva akarmani. Always do your work, Arjuna, but do not claim its yield. Neither think yourself in charge, nor flee the battlefield. And therefore, India is one of the most powerful nations in the entire world when it comes to authentic spiritual knowledge, which helps transform our ethics, our mind, our intelligence, our attitudes. Yoga emphasizes on increasing one's awareness. And we are living in a world where we are constantly bombarded by weapons of mass distraction. Microsoft came up with a report that in the period from 2012 to 2017, the human distraction levels have come from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. And can you imagine that the number of internet users globally was only 413 million in the year 2000, and today they have grown up to 4.6 billion with a global penetration of almost 60%. 65% of the internet users in India say they use it almost every day. Although only 40% of the world has internet access, but the addiction rate of internet is up to 6%, which means almost 400 million plus people across the world They share that yes, we are going through addiction issues with respect to internet. And what to speak of all kinds of uh, pornographic websites which are there. Almost 12% of the websites are pornographic content. This translates to almost 2.3 billion pages in 2018. So actually speaking, distraction is causing American businesses almost $650 billion in losses every year. And almost 64% of the car accidents which happen in USA are caused due to distraction. And if you look at figures of alcohol and tobacco, you know, almost 94% of the adults in a country like France, they consume alcohol. And alcohol is responsible for almost 2.8 million premature deaths globally across the world and 6 lakh deaths in India every year. Smoking killed approximately 100 million people in the year in the period between 1900 to 2000, in that 100-year period. And in the 2000 to 2100 period, it is slated to kill almost 1 billion human beings. Globally, today, smoking kills 6 million people every year, 1 second one death every second. Just imagine during the period of my talk, how many are going to actually succumb because of addiction to smoking. So, when we speak about sustainability, we have to get into the concept of deep ecology, and it has to be based on the principles of values, ethics, and morals which spring from our original life purpose. So, therefore, the impact of a global population with a lack of self restraint and self control is not just limited only to human society. We can see that this lack of self control, which people are demonstrating in consuming habits, which is destroying them. So, if people do not spare their own selves, how do we expect people to spare the environment? How do we expect people to spare the nature? Because the root cause of all of this is lack of harmony. And so we find that almost 33% of the food which is produced for human consumption is wasted. 2.3 billion tons of food waste. We, as a 7.7, 7.8 billion global population, is creating. 2 billion metric tons of municipal solid waste is being produced annually, and hardly, you know, we are going to be producing almost 3.5 billion by 2050. Only 12 to 15% of this is actually processed and recycled. And therefore, 76 million people in India currently, they do not have access to safe drinking water. Water, which is such a common, thing which people, anyone will expect access to. And 21% of India's diseases is actually related to water. And so, if we are looking at agriculture, 21 million square kilometers of the world's land is allocated for agriculture. But the shocking thing is 77% of that 51 million square kilometer is used for growing feed for livestock, so that then the animals eat that grains. Then the animals are then cut and then they are consumed as meat. And only 23% is allocated for growing crops. And all of us know how the consumption of meat, therefore, is such a very important element of creating an unsustainable lifestyle and accelerating climate change. And therefore, if you look at 2014, 36 billion tons of carbon dioxide emissions were made to the world. And so the energy, which we are consuming is all based on 80% fossil fuels. So let us look at the elephant in the room, which is lack of harmony with the self, lack of harmony with the divine, and lack of harmony with nature. And therefore, we at the Govardhan Eco Village looked at this fundamental principle first, and we decided that let us try to help people improve their harmony with their self, harmony with the divine, harmony with our community, and harmony with nature. And so, the kind of price human society is facing due to the lack of harmony is 18 million deaths in 2017 due to cardiovascular diseases. 18 million deaths. 10 million deaths due to cancer, which is largely caused by lifestyle related, issues, and 5 million premature deaths due to obesity. And is there a way by which people who have a lot in terms of wealth and opportunities, but who are experiencing tremendous amount of disharmony in their lives, what would they look to bring in more harmony in their lives? And then we look at people in the villages. India having 6.5 lakh villages, 700,000 villages almost, with almost, you know, uh, 69 to 70% of India's population living in the villages. Now, the biggest challenge they are facing is lack of wealth. So, people in the cities, they have enough wealth, but they face lack of health, both physical and emotional and mental. 360 suicides happening every single day in India. And so they have wealth, but they lack health. And in the village, they have health, but they lack wealth. So we thought, can we combine both the needs of the city folks, the needs of the village folks? And with that in mind, we decided let us create an eco village called the Govardhan Eco Village, demonstrating harmony at all levels. So that was the whole idea of how we created the Govardhan Eco Village.
I'm so glad when I spoke in my edge factor, harmony and happiness was part of that edge factor, and I actually didn't even speak to you. So I'm so glad I resonate. Somewhere I'm resonating with this whole concept of Govardhan
Perfect.
Eco Village. Thank you. And when my immediate next question to you is, you so beautifully, with so much of statistics, mentioned the issue the society is facing. Youth suicides. People are really giving up on life, which you said, and it's a very sad thing. Obesity, morbid blood pressure, diabetes. These are all issues that are so-called the urban factor. So, how do you see giving the urban man a tourism experience at Govardhan? What is the main tourism experience that all of us can come and see? Oh wow, is sorted.
Yes. Thank you very much for that question. Uh, as they say, that habit is a lifestyle to be lived, not a finish line to be crossed. And if we require transformation in our habits, if we do not commit to anything, we will be distracted by everything. Therefore, the very important point which we are focused on is that our commitment to the process will determine our progress. Disciplined people are better at structuring their lives, and therefore environment is the invisible hands that shapes human behavior. And happiness comes not by maximizing your possessions, but minimizing your attachments, because the value of what you drive, in terms of your car or vehicle, it doesn't matter as much as the values that drive us. So therefore spirituality and yoga empower us to reclaim our destiny, to do our best, to bring out our best, to attain the best. And so at the Govardhan Eco Village, we decided that in the midst of 100 tribal villages, we will set up over 100 acres, a fantastic haven which would take you to heaven. And that was based on the principles of spirituality, sustainability, and social inclusion as the main pillars. Based on the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita and Vedic principles, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, everybody is part of our family. We thought, how can we make a difference in the lives of the underprivileged villagers around? So we thought, let us try to bring folks from the city and experience transformation in their lifestyle through wisdom, Ayurveda, and yoga. For that, we needed to create a resort, a spiritual resort, but it had to be sustainable. So, sustainability came into the picture because we don't want people to come and leave the place worse than before. So, therefore, we created 400,000 mud bricks which use only 7% cement, 3% lime, and it was created by a mechanical process. And such compressed stabilized earth blocks compared to the regular wall which consumes 72 megajoules per kilogram of embodied energy, this mud brick wall consumes only 0.275 megajoules per kilogram embodied energy. So we created buildings made with such mud blocks. Then, as far as water was concerned, water is the major consideration. So we did a hydrogeological survey, and after doing that, we identified places where rainwater harvesting can be done, where groundwater can be recharged, aquifers can be recharged, where bore wells can be dug, where we can have freshwater open wells. And based on the hydrogeological survey, which was insisted upon by our architect Chitra Vishwanath, we actually did an one of the largest rainwater harvesting tanks in the entire Palghar district. And as a result, we have an excellent integrated water harvesting system for which we got several awards. And then the water which comes and then people use it, and the black and the gray water, for processing that we utilize what is known as the soil biotechnology plant. And that soil biotechnology plant is created by Professor S. Shankar and Dr. Biplav Patnaik from IIT Mumbai with a patent, and we implemented that. So it is basically gray water which comes down, to the sewerage system, and we have the purification happening. And through earthworms, geophagous earthworms, root bacteria, and all of these plants which are right there, we have a transformation of more than 1.5 to 2 crore liter of water is processed and becomes fish fit water ready for irrigation. So therefore, anybody who comes in as a tourist, be rest assured that whatever contributions they make through the waste, all of that will be utilized, recycled, either through biomass, either through any of the irrigation water. And what to speak of that, we have a plastic recycling plant where every plastic is recycled and made into diesel oil. So in essence, the food waste is converted into solid bio waste. So what we have is a zero waste ecosystem. And therefore, in 2017, we got this award, ecotourism, as a catalyst for rural development. Because with that, we are now doing, anybody come and spend 100 rupees in anywhere in India, but if they spend 100 rupees with us, we utilize a significant amount of that for doing rural development, with farmer development, women empowerment, with medical facilities, by improving the livelihoods, improving education and health. And in this way, we have brought in the tourist from the city to help him improve their physical and mental health through Ayurveda and yoga. When they spend the time there, spend the money there, with that money we utilize to improve the livelihoods of the villagers around. What the villagers grow, we take it and bring it back to the city and sell it in the form of haribol grains, haribol spices, haribol milk, which is available through the retail chain system. And in this way, we are trying to fulfill two concentric circles in United Nations circular economy model. The outer circle where the tourist is coming, spending, and then we are utilizing that money and utilizing it back into the city and bringing it back. So that is the outer circle. The inner circle is what we have at the Govardhan Eco Village itself, where every waste from one system becomes an input to the other system, which we call as the symbiotic recycling model. So we just don't have one circular economy model. We have a simultaneous two concentric circles within the circular economy model. And for that, we are very grateful to all our stakeholders, friends, and those who are collaborating with us in this ecotourism ecosystem.
Wonderful. As you said, it's this symbiotic relationship. And as I said, we cannot, as humans, live in isolation. It's not possible. We are not meant to be like that. We're all connected. We're all in it together to take forward one change, one step at a time. We'll be all, hopefully, I'm so-called a Bombay girl. We live in urban societies. I'll be so happy if we can get more children of urban India to come and experience something that is so beautiful, 100 kilometers away from the city of Mumbai. I think we need to start building confidence amongst parents that you can get there, your children are safe, and it's worth experiencing the happy cows, as Mr. Mafatlal said yesterday. Just getting back to nature, feeling the pebbles, as you said, and just saying this is luxury. This is pure luxury to get in harmony, to get in happiness. Gaurangdas ji, I think we are exactly on time, and I would like to bring Ms. Rishali in here. Is there a video that you want to show, sir? That
So
be
I'll, I'll
wonderful for
request
the audience to see.
I'll request the admin team to share this 1 minute video which captures our entire, uh, you know, eco village, which we showed at the United Nations, how we are bringing in people from the city as tourists and how they get rejuvenated and how that experience then ultimately helps the villagers and completes the circle. So the 1 minute video, please. No, audio is not there. You have to replay it.
Rampant illiteracy, malnutrition, and lack of infrastructure. This is the story of Wada, one of India's most backward tribal areas. However, since 2010, ecotourism has become a lifeline for this region. Govardhan Eco Village's sustainable development model, which is based on harmony with the self, the environment, and the divine, has helped employ over 300 tribal families. More than 60,000 tribals have been provided free medical care. 30,000 free meals are provided to school children every day. Over 60 borewells have been installed. More than 300 families received training in organic farming. Govardhan Eco Village has transformed the lives of the most deprived communities in the world.
Thank you very much, Pranav.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time, and hope you build more of this GEVs across other parts of India as well. Hopefully.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you, sir.
Namaste. Rajiv. Yeah, I'm leaving the studio.
Good evening, everyone. And I'm so glad we are perfectly on time. We are at 4:37, and we have yet another gorgeous speaker with us this evening, Jhelam Amit Babal. We are
Namaste.
here, namaste. We are here to speak about domestic tourism, the way forward. Before I even begin and bring the lovely lady into my conversation, um, domestic tourism, in my 18 years of writing, which I did mention yesterday, I have been vociferously speaking about the fact that that's India tourism's mainstay. You cannot forget domestic tourism, it's your wealth. And we people traveling, like a Bengali coming and traveling to Maharashtra, a Gujarati going on experiencing what Assam is, or a gentleman from Tamil Nadu going and seeing, hey, what is UP all about? I mean, come on, do we really need to do so much to get the international travelers? Of course, they love us, they love India, but why can't we just mobilize our children within amongst ourselves? I mean, my daughter keeps telling me this every day. Mama, I'm reading about the Sun Temple of Konark in my books. I want to see the Sun Temple of Konark. I said, yeah, there it is. Can't we just educate them and bring them to domestic lifestyles? And I think it's beautiful, keeping the entire experience of the Govardhan village and so many experiences around. Jhelam has been a pioneer in supporting domestic tourism. She always says this, that when my father, Kesri Bhau Patil, started Kesri, he never thought anything to do with international then. It was domestic. He said, I start Kashmir, I start Himachal Pradesh. I want my Maharashtrians and my people to go see the other beautiful parts of India. Jhelam, check me if I'm wrong. Wasn't this Mr. Kesri
You're right.
Bhau's dream? Beautiful.
Yes.
Jhelam, your name is beautiful just like you. She was named after
Thank
the
you.
divine river. She was named after the divine river Jhelum, and is the youngest daughter of Kesri Bhau Patil, the founder of Kesri Tours Private Limited. Learning is a passion, she says, and I believe, because the side conversations which I have, she's buzzing with energy, and history is her inspiration. From the age of 15, she has started assisting Kesri Bhau on tours across the world, where she not only learned the ropes of travel, the travel business, but also widened her horizons and satisfied her urge for knowledge. After completing her inter CA, she found her match in Mr. Amit Chaubal, an architect based in the US. Like a young, happy girl, she decided to live her life in the US for 10 years. And she started her own travel company there called A to Z Tours and Travels and ran it successfully till she decided to make a comeback home. She returned to India in the year 2000 and settled in Pune to consolidate and develop Kesri's presence in the Pune region. It's to her credit that within a span of few years, she made Pune the second largest market for Kesri tours. She then developed offices in Kolhapur as well. Moving on to greater challenges, she developed new destinations for Kesri and specialized tours like agro-tourism for farmers, student special tours to science centers and Switzerland, and of course the very famous NASA tours to the Space Center in the USA. She has successfully developed Kesri MICE, which is Meetings, Incentives, Conferences, and Exhibitions and Events, a division of Kesri Tours for corporate travel, for large groups, and also recently launched Destination Weddings, which is another division of the Kesri Tours group. Recently, she has done a master's in tourism, as learning is a passion, so she continues to keep that buzz going in her life. She has served as the chairperson of tourism committee at Maratha Chambers of Commerce and Industries and Agriculture for 4 years, the charter member and the chair of Women's Initiative. She was awarded the Zeal Leadership Award for being a successful women in management, Abacus Women's Entrepreneurship Awards, Entrepreneur Excellence Awards by J. Asra Foundation, Lokmat Pune Icons Award, Nav Durga Award in Pune. Zelam, Durga Puja has just gone, and you have been awarded the Navadurga. Congratulations.
Thank you,
And now
Reema, for that introduction.
pleasure. Jairam, you told me very clearly you believe firmly in the concept of domestic tourism. That has been your father's dream, which has moved on to you, and soon probably to generation next, where your son might just come and live that dream for him. Jairam, can you
Yes.
tell my audience what is domestic tourism and the meaning and the focus that you have in terms of domestic tourism that we all need to probably think of for the future? The platform is yours, Jairam.
Thank you, Reema, for this great opportunity. See, domestic tourism is very close to our heart because we started off with domestic tourism when there was no one, when nobody was conducting domestic tours. We were, our family, I can say, is the pioneer for large groups. MICE tourism is introduced now, right? A decade ago, we can say. But we used to conduct tours 35 years ago in Kashmir, where the groups were like 300 people at a time. So we had introduced MICE already in domestic tourism. We didn't know the name MICE that time, but we were conducting large groups. And it is, my father started Kesari tours when he was 50 years old. But 50-year-old now and 50-year-old then is different, right? So now we are his age, and if there is something, lead, like, see, tourism industry is in great trouble right now. But we always think my father started at 50. What we are worried about? We can start again, all over again from here. Domestic tourism is to our heart because we have been pioneer. We have been doing series tours all these years. And remember in 2007, 2009 recession time, we survived because of domestic tourism. So when there is problem, we change our direction to domestic tourism. But we have to remember we are country of 1.2 billion people, and domestic tourism we should not forget. However big money we have in international tourism, so we always think in inside us that domestic tourism is our bread and butter, and we always paid attention to domestic tourism. In fact, domestic tourism gave us idea to conduct our international tours like we used to conduct in domestically, how happy people were. And we what we did is we used the same model for our international tours, and which became success.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, I mean, literally, when you talk to K3 Tours, you talk to a very rooted company. You know, I know it's always y'all did the Maharashtrian tours. Y'all were the pioneers who actually brought in, you know, the journey of having regional people traveling to different regions of India. 100%. I mean, you know, that's your father's vision. And Jairam, you also mentioned to me that you just said that, let's be all honest, tourism is in great trouble. We're all trying to really be positive, but tourism is in trouble. I mean, the whole concept of COVID got tourism off its rockers. Like, and you also said that, as a humble request, can the government and all of us together work to bring the economy back? This thing, tourism needs to come towards a flow for the economy to go. You have people you give salaries to. You want to improve their lives better. Because tourism actually is also a job giver to the job seekers. Jairam, would you like to tell my audience how important it is for economic growth? Thank you.
Everybody knows, it's open secret now, that tourism is in trouble, and people can't pay, and it hurts. it really, really hurts. We need to take care of our tourists, we need to take care of our employees, we need to take care of our suppliers, transporters, and everybody I talk to. I mean, um, it is little, everybody is in uncertainty, lot of uncertainty, whether it is within India or abroad. The world's borders are closed for us. Why can't we make this as opportunity and move Indian economy by traveling within India? If government comes with the stricter guidelines about how to visit monuments, how many people should visit the monuments, how to cross the borders, I mean, everything you give us SOP, we will follow. But that way the Indian economy will move, and which is so very important right now, it is need of the hour. That is one thing, that government should come up with one stronger guideline kind of SOP for tourists, and it is up to tourists that they should adhere to this, and it will help tourism industry. That is number one. Number two, tourism industry is bleeding. Everybody gets help. Our colleagues from all over the world got help. We did not get any help from the government. We need that government help now.
Very strongly said.
And it is, see, we are adding 9.9 odd percentage to our GDP. It's huge industry, and we are bleeding now. The government should help us. Otherwise, lot of people, they cannot afford the rents, the employee salary, a lot of other expenses, and we need that help, that support. If not, there is another GST concession or any kind of concession which will boost tourism. That is the need of the hour. That should happen right now. Number four, people will believe the government. Government should give with some guidelines. Government should allow people to move freely. If there is quarantine, and if there is closure of some monument, if it is uncertain, then neither domestic tourism will happen, neither international tourism will happen, and tourism industry will linger in this trouble. So these are minimum helps we need from the government. We are not asking much, but this should happen, and we should look at it as great opportunity for Indians to travel within the country and help boost the economy, which is great need right now. The global economy is down by 5%. Our economy will be down by 10-12%. That is the numbers. We can definitely help our economy boost if we allow tourism to happen. That's what I think. And it really hurts that nothing is taken care of, and we have so many organizations we are pushing, but we are not paid attention. We are adding 9% to GDP, but nobody says that this is industry, and our demands are not being taken care of. See, India is such a country, there is no place on this earth like India. I would passionately say that, because there we are a country where unity in diversity. Hand in hand, we have so many language, more than 100 languages are spoken. Every mile the food is changes, every mile the dressing sense is changes. So in India, we have almost everything. We are Sujalam Sufalam. And I feel when you go all over the world, you come back and visit India, you feel that India is really have everything. What we don't have is infrastructure. And we have been demanding infrastructure since long. If we improve our infrastructure, yes, we are the country, nowhere else. Look at our um, cultural heritage. Look at our spa and yoga tourism. I mean, so much to offer. Look at our temples. We don't even talk about our temples in big way, but they are great architectural marvels, I can say. So I love my India. We cannot ignore India while we are taking tourists to India. I mean, I take tourists to all over the world, but our basic concept is Indians to world and world to India. So we have never ignored India, and right now everybody is eyeing on India. But yes, I will ask government to give us great in world class infrastructure, and we will do our job. Thank you.
So true, so true. You have spoken so strongly on four major points. You literally said it hurts. That word hurt, Chilam, I can feel that hurt in your voice. I could feel it. Though we are off online, I can feel that hurt. And you all are all pained. I get it. We all here. We are because we're all on it together. I was just saying yesterday, gone are the days when you can, work in isolation. That you're an aviation guy, you're a tour operator, you're a hotelier, you're a ground handler. We can't say, we are working in our silos. As you said, we are trying our best to be together. We have our own people to give salaries to. And all you're saying to the government is, please do not treat us with a little stepbrotherly treatment. Enough is enough. Can you please help us? I said this also yesterday that public private partnerships, PPP, cannot just be on a paper. If PPP can genuinely be, in action, then, probably Jhelam and the voice of your fraternity,
Yes.
the pain will be a little lesser. I hear you, Jairam. I totally hear you. And as you said, India has got everything from architecture, music, art, culture. I mean, we can name it, and we have it all. As Mr. Basu also mentioned yesterday, we are a continent of continents, literally. And as we go on, Jairam,
The
before we
I
move
would
on,
I would just add, wherever in world we travel, they say
yes,
India is beautiful and we want to travel India, and
yes,
people come here to find solace. People come here to know more about our culture. People come here to understand Hinduism. People come here to see how Indian people are so content.
yes,
I mean, there are stories of how Indian people are, and how they learn the lesson in India. I will just tell you a small incident. I was in Israel, and I was talking to those Israel boys who work on border patrolling, and I asked him, why do you want to go to India? He said it is common practice. You know what, after we do done with this extensive job, there is so much tension in there. It is with deal with your life, right?
yes,
So after our job is done, whatever income we get, which barely $500 or so, they go to India to find that peace. Isn't it
yes,
beautiful that
yes.
people want to come to India, but they are scared? And why should we give this feeling to other rest of the world? India is such a beautiful country. India is such a safe country. But we need to uh, make tourists safer here. Nothing should happen. Nothing should go wrong in India with tourists. Then they will have confidence.
No, I completely agree because K3 Tours has been also uh, reasonably pioneers in the thematic tours. I remember you all were the ones who did the My Fair Lady tours, got women across the world to travel together. And then we are talking about women's safety. I think my country is really safe. I can vouch for that. As a woman traveler, I think India is safe. I can say this with a lot of pride. And whatever
Yes.
stray incidences happen, that happens across the world. So I agree with you, Jhelam.
Yes.
That the My Fair Lady tours you did, a lot of these thematic tours that you all do has a lot of meaning for domestic tourism as well. And
Yes.
I also say this that there are art, architecture, culture, there is textiles. As a woman who loves her saris, I was just telling it yesterday that there's Maheshwari, Chanderi, there is Mogha, there is Garwali, there is so much of textile culture in the country. We go abroad to enjoy the batik. Why can't people come and enjoy our bandhanis? Why can't people
Yes.
come and experience? I want my daughters to see how a bandhani is made. I want them to see, how a patola sari is done, or how the paithani of Maharashtra, how special is it. So yes, you're talking about these rustic experiences. I get it.
That's
You know,
great idea, Rima. That's a great idea. I think we
no,
should be around
it's
it.
something so important that I think we should all know this. I mean, I passionately want to think about this because every aspect of our country, has an element of purity. In my eyes, 100% element of purity, and that's the only lesson one can give to the next generation.
Yes.
Jhiram, there is also, as we are moving on with time, um, what is your game plan? I mean, probably through this platform, can we request a humble request once again to the government, to the Maharashtra government, or to an that please give us some hope. Jilam, is there a possibility for you, to reach out to the government through sources? Is there a possibility we can all do that?
I think there are a lot of tourism associations and they are doing their job wonderfully. I respect their work. I respect their push to government. Already they are doing it. Um, what I feel government should do at least, there are a lot of tourists, they have done their visas this year and their money is gone to the drain. So if with government intervention, if we could get those visas revived, in maybe little penalty for that, but at least that will be a great help. Like for example, when people go to Europe, one person pays almost 20,000, 18,000 plus charges, almost 20,000. So if family of five and their visas are done, it's 1 lakh rupees are gone. So if government, with government intervention, consulate allows us to reuse those visas, that will be great help to tourists and it will boost tourism as well. But this is when the international borders will open. Right now, if government helps people understand how we can do tours in this COVID situation, also with all precautions, tours are possible. Maybe there is restriction of people, but people are fed up in sitting home. They want to go someplace, and somebody should take them in safer environment. All safety precautions will be taken care of. People want that right now and it is need of the hour and we are ready to do it, but we need some strong guidelines, as I said before, that how to visit monuments, how to visit the public places, and we are being assured that only certain number of people will be allowed in this park, and not more than that. So if with these restrictions people are ready, and right now it is very 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 important to revive at least domestic industry. Our transporters are bleeding, our hoteliers are slowly started. I mean, they are the first one who have started back, but everybody is still bleeding. So we, I mean, I will urge government that their intervention is needed and we need this support. Also, whatever taxes they are imposing us, that should be taken care of. Do not burden with additional taxes for guests, and that will not help tourism. It will do worse than better. So we need that help right now. We really really need that help. There is additional tax, TCI, so which not acceptable, I would say. That should be taken care of by people and not a burden to travel agent. That's what I
Um,
would say.
no, absolutely. In fact, the audience who's listening to us, I don't want to sound uh, uh, fatalistic, no, but let's feel what Jailam is saying. She is hurt. Let's all agree. It's not an easy situation where the tour operators of India are today sitting where they are. Most of them have only told us rentals are very difficult to pay. It's not easy to sustain. We have salaries to pay. Uh, and all she's saying is requesting the government, please give us a helping hand. Humbly, we are bleeding. From bleeding to building, please can you build us back, is what her message is very, very clear. We can't keep bleeding like that, because if you bleed, yes, of course, you're going to perish. As she said, there are many of her fraternity friends who are actually getting out of business, shutting shops, starting alternate businesses, because we are all wanting to survive by the end of it. So maybe, if together, if there is any appeal, or maybe personally, we can actually speak to the authorities and the public service, and bring in some hope for the tourism sector. Jilam, Jabbar, thank you so very much. You have actually set the tone for today, for the next speakers to take this forward, because the next conversation is going to be on finance. There's so much of more buzz. Mr. Aditya is going to beautifully handle the next panels, and I'm sure these are going to be pointers for him to actually take forward, to ponder upon, and to say that, for India to survive, we can't do it without some kind of governmental support at this point of time. And she, as very beautifully said, don't forget domestic tourism. You can't afford to forget domestic tourism. Tomorrow, when the world will be a better place, when all of us will go back to our lives, hopefully when COVID goes away and says, thank you, I taught you what to do. But let's still never forget domestic tourism, because I think we've all heard. And as somebody just beautifully told me in my conversation, that the time has come to slow down, to speed up. So I'm slowing down here to speed up emotionally, mentally, physically, because we are all in it together. Chelam Choban. We are exactly at 5:05, and I respect time. Thank you so much for sharing this platform and this panel with me. I'm honored. And hopefully you build
Thank you,
more.
Reema. It was honor.